The final week of the LCS is here, and while Flyquest, EG, and Cloud9 have secured their spots in the playoffs, there's still 3 other spots up for grabs. It's likely Golden Guardians is going to make it in. From what I know, they have guaranteed at least a tiebreaker for playoffs. But TSM, 100 Thieves, and CLG are right behind them, and even TL has a chance. It's a small one, but they have it. Superweek over the LCS is here, and it's going to be great. I'm Nikita, and back with me this week is BMB. I want to kick us off right into the action, though, with a question about our top 3.
Let's get into it.
EG beat Flyquest, then Cloud9 beats EG. Ergo facto, Cloud9 are the best team in the LCS?
I mean, I don't even think you need to use that sort of funny game of math or whatever it's called, where it's like, you know, back when I was in 4th grade, they taught us the right term for this. Like the transitive property or something like that. Cloud9 are on a 5-game win streak. Like, Cloud9 are for real. They are sitting at the top. They are tied for first place with Flyquest at 12-3. The only thing that, you know, right now they've only played Flyquest once. And, you know, this weekend we are going to have first game up, chance to see a little taste of probably who's going to be in the LCS final for the spring.
At least one of them, I expect.
I can't even fathom both of them losing and not making the final.
So you don't even think EG is a dark horse?
We'll get there, but what I'm saying is, this is going to be a fantastic match. You know, to the transitive property math and that you were talking about. Right now, Cloud9 is the best team in the game. They go 2-0 against a formidable EG team, and they beat a TL team that is playing better, but also like desperate, right? They needed that win, a commanding victory for a commanding team. I very much do think that it is no longer just Flyquest as the first and everybody else.
I think that's undeniable. This also has a little bit of a counterpart because Flyquest lost 2 matches in a row
before they beat Immortals.
But when you only have 3 losses, to have 2 in a row does flag something. And when you have 2 losses to an EG, and then you follow that up with a loss to TL, questions need to be asked. And you definitely don't want those losses as we start to go into playoffs. That's the thing. Is like, we always talk about it. You want to be finding your groove as you're coming into playoffs. And losing twice, maybe having a bad week. If they lose to Cloud9, do they lose to... if they lose to Cloud9, do they maybe drop a game to Golden Guardians? If they do, then it's like, oh no, Flyquest is falling apart right before playoffs, and that's a disaster.
Loss to Team Liquid is embarrassing. They had a Lucian Nami combo for the bottom lane. Like, that is a very standard. They had Sejuani, right? They have Silas. Like, these are like champions that are like go-tos, standard. These are guys that you know you can win on. And for them to not get any towers, not get any dragons, like, they got outkilled 20-6. Like, that is concerning. Now, and it's not only concerning, right? Like, sorry, I'm not going to go and say that they righted the ship when they freaking it felt like they barely beat an Immortals team that's terrible, right?
That win is irrelevant.
Correct.
And if it's a loss, it's very concerning. So this is what I mean. Is like they basically have 2 losses in a row. I don't care about the Immortals win. Now they have a super week ahead of them with 2 fairly, you know, like, obviously Cloud9 is their biggest competition. And I would say Golden Guardians is the dark horse outside the top 3. So those are 2 matches they want to win to give them confidence going into playoffs. If they don't win those, big question marks.
I just want to call out that, like, Spica as well has just been not performing. And that is a serious player that they need to figure out in order to be able to kind of get back on their winning streak. You cannot have Spica just getting kind of picked out and just eaten alive. And so that's one player in particular that I think has been really underperforming for them. And so if they're going to kind of, I think, dig themselves back to the top 2 team that we think of them as, we need to see him turn it around. Yeah,
I agree with that. But yeah, as I was saying, team that I do think has turned it around, at least in the short term, has been 100 Thieves. They had a 2-0 week after basically going, I think it was 1-7. They've made a coaching staff change. We said that it wasn't enough. Maybe it was. 2-0 week. That's pretty good. Some solid wins against, opponents that I think, particularly the Golden Guardian win, is a big one.
Correct.
The other thing I would say is that every single player had standout moments.
Yep.
Had a solo kill. Tenacity had a solo kill. Bjergsen had a nice move with Azir.
Yep.
So all of them had a moment where they looked good, and you can't overlook how important confidence is in a play.
Totally.
So being able to pull off those moves, do well, and go 2-0. And this is the perfect time to have a 2-0 week.
Well,
and if you're going into Super Week and you can go 2-1 or even 3-0, and then you hit playoffs, then suddenly you have a bit of momentum. You're feeling good. It's exactly the opposite of Flyquest, who, if they have a bad Super Week, are they going into playoffs with a bad rep, feeling, unconfident?
Well, it's the same thing we just said about Team Liquid, right? Like, had they been able to beat Cloud9, you feel just worlds different. Like, 100 Thieves last week, we talked about it. We sat here. We said they are tied for whatever, like it was 8th place with Team Liquid.
Yep.
They go in, have a 2-0 weekend at a critical time. They're now feeling way better about their playoff chances. And, again, this is why this is the gold advantage where we make team people money. We sat here and said the playoff or the halo effect, the honeymoon phase, is real. Absolutely bet 100 Thieves against Golden Guardians, and that paid dividends. There
were a few kind of underdog bets we called out last week, both on this episode and the LEC episode. I think the Astralis one was a big one.
Don't worry, I want to talk about G2 Astralis a lot.
You will be. Okay. But yeah, so just to kind of run through standings right now. So Cloud9 and Flyquest have locked in playoffs and I think the upper bracket for sure.
EG's locked in. Yep.
EG are guaranteed playoffs, but they have, at a minimum, a tiebreaker for the upper bracket. And Golden Guardians have guaranteed, like I said in the intro, a tiebreaker for playoffs. So it is really unlikely that we don't have Golden Guardians in playoffs. I don't see it really happening. Now it kind of comes down to CLG, TSM, and 100 Thieves. The first match is between kind of TSM and 100 Thieves. No, it's exactly between them. So 100 Thieves and TSM fight each other in on day one, and that is a big match because if 100 Thieves wins, they're basically guaranteed a spot in playoffs, just because of the way tie-breaking and so on works.
Yep.
So it's a do or die situation for CLG TSM.
Yep.
They really want 100 Thieves to lose there. There is an outside chance that TL gets a tiebreaker. I think it's like a 25% chance. Someone did the maths. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't see it happening so much.
Yep.
But if we assume, we'll jump into it a bit more later.
Yep.
But quickly, do you think 100 Thieves will beat TSM?
Week 2, with the new coach.
Yeah.
Honeymoon phase is no mas.
Mm-hmm.
This TSM team has been surprising this year, right?
Yeah.
They're playing a little better than we expected. Not to mention, their kind of win over Flyquest was particularly interesting. Now, that maybe this isn't a time where they're having a lot of trouble. The reality is it's also a team that's 0-2 against Golden Guardians, 0-2 against Cloud9, and 0-2 against EG, right? So they're losing to the teams that are better than them.
Yeah.
So far, they're 0-1 against 100 Thieves. It feels like a 100 Thieves win.
I agree with that. I think so too. I just feel like they are trending in the right direction. So with that then in mind...
But I don't want to give one weekend being a trending in the right direction, right? Because we're probably going to talk about...
Well, you have to, But it's the start of something, potentially.
And we were talking about this before we got on here. I feel that CLG is heading in the wrong direction, and
I don't disagree with that.
You were saying, I was like, maybe...
Well, no, you said they were falling apart now.
Yes.
My disagreement was not with they're falling apart.
They've already fallen apart?
Temporal statement. It was they've started to fall apart. Whereas I've been like, no, this has been happening for weeks, that they've been going 0-2 and 1-1. So I totally agree that I think, and in my opinion, it's a regression to the mean. They start off weak, did better, and then now they're slipping back into where I think they should be. I guess this is a little bit of a spoiler because my next one was, who do you think makes it in, TSM or CLG? I think it's TSM.
So can I read the teams that each team plays? Because I think that's relevant, right?
We can. Sure.
CLG plays Golden Guardians. Tough match.
Yep.
Then they play Team Liquid. Tough match. Because TL need that. And then they play Cloud9. Really tough match. Like,
Yep.
this is a terrible weekend for CLG. Like, and we called this out before, which was CLG needed to be as high as they were because they were playing all the lower teams.
Yeah.
Their loss to Dignitas last weekend, and I cannot emphasize this enough, I think is what's going to keep them out. Like, that was that's a game you cannot lose when you know what's coming up. You needed to be so freaking fired up for that. And that one is just heartbreaking. And they lost it in a way where it was like so close, went for so long, and it's just the minutia there at the end where you have to freaking clutch up. And so for them to lose that one to Dignitas, that's going to be what keeps them out. And to that point, I think you're going to get CLG and Team Liquid missing. I think you're going to get TSM and Golden Guardians in that 5th, 6th. And I think you're going to see 100 Thieves climbing into 4th place.
Wow. All right. I don't think Golden Guardians is going to drop down. I think they are very solidly the 4th place team. But I guess that takes us into the matches. Now, we only have the odds for 2 days worth. We're kicking off with Flyquest Cloud9. This is 100% like the most important matchup of the week.
Yeah.
I think at least to give us our favorite 4 playoffs. Not so much for standings. Standings, it doesn't affect that much or at all, really. But I guess it affects 1st, 2nd place, but whatever. And the odds are fairly even. 1.85 on Flyquest, 1.97 on Cloud9. I think really you can go either way here. I'm still leaning towards Flyquest just because I think they had some teething issues. They brought in Isla. I don't think that they are willing to lose against another competitor. They lost to EG. I hated the Tilia pick. I think it was a big draft issue. I think they're going to go in with this mentally, just being like, we have to beat Cloud9 because this sets us up for playoffs and mentally sets us up as the number 1 team. So I want to take them as a 1.85. Same time, all I have in the back of my head here is Scoot being like, Cloud9. And
he would 100% be saying that. He'd be like, Cloud9's not losing again the rest of the season.
He's like, this is the greatest team North America's ever produced.
Yeah.
So
which might be true.
In that case... And if you're getting the greatest team North America's ever produced on underdog odds at 1.97, very small underdog odds, 0.1 of an underdog, but
better than not.
Yeah.
This is where my head is at, Nikki. I am very nervous. I think Flyquest needs a new coach. Like, this is what I'm genuinely concerned for them. I could see them going 0-3 this weekend.
Wow.
I could see them losing to Cloud9.
So, big implosion.
Losing to Golden Guardians. And then losing to TSM. Like, this is not an easy weekend for them. And this is, if they go 0-3, like, obviously they've still locked the playoffs. But, like, that is not how you want to enter anything.
I mean, that would be a epic implosion at the end. You know, like, that would really be a disaster.
Yeah. So, look, I love the way that Cloud9's playing. Now, look, they're on a 5-game win streak. Maybe it's the classic regression to the mean stuff where it's like no one's like, maybe they let them win to a degree just so that way when they play them again in playoffs, like maybe they're going to try it. Maybe Cloud9's pretty savvy. They've been here before. Maybe they do some things that are uncharacteristic because they don't want to show all their cards to this Flyquest team at this point in the season, right before playoffs. And so... maybe they're fine letting...
I also wonder if they throw some... like, it's a bit of a spanner in the work. They might do something a bit cheesy.
Right.
Just because if they steamroll Flyquest is annoyed because they've lost a match.
Correct.
And if they don't, they're just like, hey, we just did something a bit cheesy. We didn't really care if we won or we lost.
So
and to be fair, I feel like all the pressure is on Flyquest. They've been the number 1 team.
Yeah, totally.
If Cloud9 doesn't win, no one's really going to hold it against them. And if they do win...
I think this game means more to Flyquest than Cloud9 because Flyquest has been in a rut. They haven't been playing well. They've been losing games. Now, so I just finished reading The Art of War, and part of it is all about kind of surprise, right? Like, be cunning when your enemies think that you're supposed to be straightforward, right? And it's like, how do you be clever? So, but to me, this Flyquest match is much more important to them. And so if I'm Cloud9, I think you kind of not throw it. You try stuff that you want to try. You know you're in a good spot. You know that your next game is against Immortals, like fucking freebie. And then you know that the last game of the day is against CLG. Like, I don't think you have to be too concerned with where you kind of end up here in this place. I think Flyquest cares more. I don't love the odds, honestly, at a 1.85 on Flyquest at this point.
Sure.
So I'm going to stay away from betting this match. I think that Cloud9 might try something funky, especially, and this is, I'm going to pull a classic Nikita. I'm going to wait to see what the draft looks like.
Very wise words. Wise words. And you know what? I 100% agree with them. I actually think that those are great words to end on. The next match is one that I highlighted at the beginning. This is a really important match for 100 Thieves. It's the match against TSM. Yeah. TSM is at a 2.44 underdog odds against 100 Thieves 1.56. Now, I think we both said we expect 100 Thieves to win.
Correct.
But I do not think these odds are accurately reflected in the slightest.
At all.
So I would even put a half a unit on TSM just as an upset because they're definitely good enough.
Oh, yeah.
Like, and I will also say, if you asked me a week ago, before last week's games, who's the better team? I'd say probably TSM.
This would have been probably dead. This would have been dead even a week ago.
So it's just good betting strategy here is that the odds do not accurately reflect what the actual balance of the teams is. And I just think a 2.44, I will put maybe, let's say half a unit, a unit, something small on that, just because there's a real chance they do upset. And just because 100 Thieves has the name brand and they went 2-0 doesn't mean all their problems they've had all week have disappeared.
I think if I were the coach of TSM, I would put these odds on the locker room as bulletin board material. I'd be like, they think that you are trash compared to 100 Thieves. Like, go out and prove it. Like, this, to me, is egregious. TSM have to win this, too. Like, this is not like it's just for one team.
Every loss is a massive deciding factor for the teams that are fighting for playoffs. So,
correct.
Absolutely, exactly. And I think this is a massive motivation.
And again, as the Art of War says, when your opponent is up against the wall with no way out, it's the most dangerous position they can be in.
Yep. Exactly. Final match of the day, CLG Golden Guardians. CLG's at 2.33, Golden Guardians at 1.61. I've made a nice stack of cash on Golden Guardians. They've delivered this all year. I just think I'll take them again at 1.6. It's not a great line, but to be fair, with draft, maybe the match goes, it might boost up a little bit. But even now, 1.6, I'm actually okay to put some money on it. And yeah, I just don't think CLG is looking good.
They're not. So, with that said, I'm going to stay away. The odds aren't good enough for me.
Okay.
This CLG team is like, you were talking about regression to the mean, but they also, like, their peak is like beating a team like Golden Guardians, and you're like, what the fuck was that? Sure. And so, I'm going to stay away from betting this match in particular, but I will be betting CLG against Team Liquid.
Oh, well, that's a perfect segue again. We've been in sync the last couple of weeks. CLG versus TL. So the reason we're talking about this, CLG is a 2.42 underdog against TL's 1.57. This is exactly the same as the TSM 100 Thieves. And I think those two teams are way closer to each other than TSM 100 Thieves. So, in the bracket, I would say it's like TSM 100 Thieves, and right below is CLG TL. So, I'm with you on that. I would throw, again, a small amount on CLG because
I'm gonna put like 2 or 3 full units. On CLG.
Well, I don't trust in CLG that much
because this is what CLG loves doing, right? Like, when CLG's supposed to win, they're not going to win. When CLG's not supposed to win, they win. And like, there is nothing more that this CLG team loves doing than sending Liquid packing home after they win on Friday, right? There's a small chance they're going to play Dignitas. They're going to beat Dignitas. Dignitas is terrible. But then they're coming up against CLG. Liquid knows that they need the win, but CLG would love to send them home to be spoiler. Like, that is their favorite position to be in. I love this value of 2.42, and this Liquid team is not a team in any scenario that has shown that they are clutch. So I will be betting on them.
You're all in on that.
Yes.
Okay. Would you go all in on Golden Guardians underdog at 2.96 against Flyquest 1.40? Because you said you think they're going to lose. So if they do lose, these are great odds. So if they're on that downward trend.
Yep. I think that, again, you're going to see... So my prediction, Cloud9 doesn't throw, but doesn't try, right? Like, their hardest. They don't play their best players. They kind of try some different strategy. They try and feel out, what does Flyquest do if we do this, right? And Flyquest, in my opinion, is at a place where they've thrown that away, and they kind of need to be like, wait, we need to get back to playing good. And so, with that in mind, Flyquest is going to get the win against Cloud9. Yeah. They're going to come into Golden Guardians feeling better. Like, oh, we just beat Cloud9. I think this is a perfect place for Golden Guardians to upset them. Like, this to me is like, they'll feel confident. They'll think they figured it out. And I don't think they will. I do not trust this Flyquest team right now. They got to prove it to me this weekend. They need to, if they go 3-0 this weekend, in a way that is like commanding, all right, great. But if you're going to give me... Now, this is a match. I'm not going to put mini units on Golden Guardians. I'll put half a unit or one. But this is a perfect matchup, I think, for a team like Golden Guardians who needs to also prove it to themselves that they can go up against a team like this and freaking show them that they can win.
Yeah, okay. I like it. I will throw in... I think Golden Guardians can upset, and I think 2.96 is a great odds.
Great return. Great return.
Especially, again, this is something if you're watching the draft and you start to notice that, hey, they're drafting Attilia in mid lane again when the rest of the comp is just not suited to that. I think you can get some really good ones. I will highlight, if you parlay Flyquest and Golden Guardians, you get 5.49 odds, and if you take Cloud9 and Golden Guardians, you get 5.83 odds. So you can really juice those odds if you are very confident in the Golden Guardians win. To be fair, you could even take both of them, because if that hits, you have made a good fat stack.
What if I take Counter Logic over Liquid, which I'm super confident in, with Golden Guardians?
That gives you
7.16.
7.16. That is, I mean, it's a play. That's for sure. I don't believe in CLG as much as you do, but it's definitely, the odds are there to kind of pay off if it is worth it. We don't have the odds for day 3. I don't have any other matches to talk about. You don't want
to talk about Immortals Cloud9?
No, surprisingly enough, no. Yeah. Day 3. Are there any matches that you really want to talk about?
Yes.
Which ones?
So I think there are 2 matches that have the potential to mean something, right? I think TSM up against Flyquest. Again, for everything we've been talking about Flyquest, I think it's just gonna matter. And especially if TSM is able to beat Dig, which we think they will, and if they also beat 100 Thieves, which we definitely think they can, which we should parlay that, the TSM, Golden Guardians, and CLG. But so that match has immense potential. You're going to see TSM probably also 2.8, right? Something in that vein. And you'll definitely want to make sure you're following along the standings and what is needed. But the other one is TLEG. I think you're going to get a desperate TL team here trying to kind of make... This might at this point become their championship, right? This might become a TL game where they have nothing left to fight for. So their last chance to kind of go up against an EG team that is going to be trying to get ready for the playoffs. We know, EG's had a bit of a rough of a couple days, right? And so I think you're going to be able to get some good value, like 2.5, 2.8 on TL against EG, and so I think that could be a fun one to bet on.
Okay, I don't disagree with you. I knew those were going to be the 2 games. I mean, obviously, if you're angling for a Flyquest upset, I think the odds will be massive on TSM. Will definitely probably be around that 2.7 to 3.1 area. So I can see it, and I would look, hey, you can maybe parlay that into something. TLEG, I just think EG has their eye on the ball. Okay. I think they're a team that have been coming. They're looking better and better coming into playoffs. Well, and I think they are. I think they are also overlooked at the moment. I think a lot of people are focusing. Definitely, obviously, they beat Flyquest, and that's a big one. But then I think Cloud9 has taken a bit of their thunder by beating them.
Yep.
And I'm not sure it's fully deserved. So I'm more on the EG train.
Yeah, I mean, I think even going as far back as, week 5, when they lost to Dignitas and Golden Guardians, I think that was also part of the reason why, right? But to your point, they've been good of late. I do think Cloud9 right now is just kind of peaking at the right time. And so, but Immortals are going to win that. 100 Thieves, I would like to see them beat 100 Thieves. I think that'll be a pretty important match. But if they do beat 100 Thieves, then they probably lock up that third spot. Or maybe even... But this is the other part of it, right? If they have a chance to get second place come Sunday, then I absolutely think that they can kind of turn it on and beat this team, good team to get that. If Flyquest have kind of fallen apart. Yeah,
it's an interesting one. Either way, this is it has been an entertaining season. The whole season, everything's been neck and neck, and I love the fact that for a lot of these teams, it is coming down to the final week. So storyline-wise, it's super exciting. I think gameplay-wise, it's been fun. And we're seeing, and I'm also somewhat hopeful for how things will be at MSI.
Yes.
With depending on Cloud9 and Flyquest going, and
G2.
Even some of these teams for next split. Be interesting to see what can happen. That wraps it up from us.
I completely agree.
Any last thoughts?
Look, it's a super week.
Yeah.
These are fun.
Super week, super fans.
Super week, super fun, super fans, and we're going to make a super lot of money.
There we go. That's it. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and we will see you next week in time for playoffs. Bye, everyone.
And we will also be talking about the LEC soon. Don't forget that, bad boy.
We will be. Later this week.
Let's just say that we had Astralis beating G2.
We did.
No big deal. Toodaloo.
Cashing that stuff in. Bye, everyone.